God, I should write this preamble down because I never remember it.
Do you want to write it down now and then read it into it?
It's not the worst idea.
we can pause and just give you some time if you like.
No. Keep me under the pump. That's how I work 90% of the time.
Under pressure.
Yeah, din, 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 din. Now, here's a question. Was that tuned from Ice Ice Baby or Under Pressure? Because it's the exact same tune.
The one from you was Ice Ice Baby?
That's what I was thinking of when I said it. Yeah. Shut up before you even say it.
to Joel from Us. And insert.
Yes. I'm no good at spelling, okay.
Insert. I hope you say that. Welcome once again to Big Brain Media Podcast. I'm insert name. And I'm joined by today by Screw You.
All right, for real then, welcome once again to the Big Brain Media Podcast. I'm Joel from Oz, and today I'm joined by Bliestek. How's it going, dude?
Yeah, not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, doing all right. You're sounding much more crisp than you normally do.
Oh, yes. Must admit. Got a Wave 3 mic, so much better.
Yes. The sultry tones of your voice are coming through. Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
So you would have heard the announcement. Actually, I think you're the first one who told me that Apple is allowing self-repair of devices.
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually. Pretty interesting that Apple are finally going down the path of letting it happen, especially after for so long they've been basically forcing you to approve repairers only.
Yes, and it's such a 180 compared to their stance beforehand, essentially saying that the average user is not clever enough to do it. But it's not even about the average user. It's, even repair shops and that who aren't Apple approved had no way to sort of access Apple's sort of data for repairing these devices.
Correct. And even access to the official hardware, like official replacement hardware and stuff like that. A lot of places didn't have access to that either. So it's a pretty big step, really. And I mean, Apple themselves have come out saying it's more aimed at those that are probably more in the tech industry that already have a bit of knowledge on how to do stuff like this. That can just do it themselves. So obviously it wouldn't be for your mum to pick up and do herself. Because let's be honest, it's probably not going to end great.
Or for me to pick up, because I mean I've had my tries before replacing parts on Apple devices. My fine motor skills not that great. I ripped the ribbon right off of one of the screens I had, so that was not good. Well,
I think that you can actually, from my understanding, that they're going to release like a toolkit as well you could buy.
Yep.
Which would be specific for their products, but also they are providing service manuals, which the service manuals themselves is going to be a huge thing because, I mean,
that's going to be arguably the biggest part of this too, because repair shops already have their chain of supply as far as parts and that, except for a few key parts that I'll bring up later. But those repair manuals are going to be huge, especially for when new devices drop, assuming the repair manuals come out soon afterwards. Because
that's right.
While places like iFixit and that do go through and say, this is how we think these things come apart, from reading from ex-Apple employees who have had to repair some of this stuff and the tools that they have access to like, they have this special ring heater with a suction cup to undo the glue around the screen. So it sort of suctions on and then heats the edge of the screen to make the glue less adhesive to pull it apart.
Yeah.
That's something you could only guess about realistically when you're just pulling apart the device for the first time. Like they put a new adhesive in there. How the hell do you get that apart without breaking it?
That's right.
Now they'll have a manual.
Yeah, and I mean, it takes away that sort of bit of guessing game and stuff that, you know, a lot of people currently turn to YouTube videos for. Which, whilst YouTube videos can be super handy for this, at the same time, there can be a lot of misinformation spread through them as well. So I guess this is Apple's way of clearing the air and be like, no, okay, guys, if you're going to do this, do it the right way. You know, do it with the right tools, do it with the right parts.
You can call me a bit of a cynic, but I see it less as being about, think of it as customer care and more about covering their butts. Because
100%.
I think it's only a matter of maybe even just a few years and you'll see legislation drop in countries like the European Union and America that basically say that companies who release these expensive devices like high-end mobile phones, possibly even like computers like laptops and that sort of stuff, will have to supply parts and repair documentation to help users repair them.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. Companies like Apple bang on about the environment and trying to stop e-waste. And yet for years they haven't really done a lot for that.
Yeah, that's right. And that's, I think, like you said, that's probably a bit of what this is about. And you know, we'll just see how long it takes before all of a sudden more and more iPhones start rocking up with USB-C ports because people have started pulling them apart and figured out how to do stuff.
You saw that conversion, did you?
Yeah, what's sold for like £86,000 or something like that, which is what, 150,000 Australian dollars, give or take.
Yeah,
so
that's incredible.
Oh yeah, just for a USB-C port. I mean, I must admit, I'm kind of on board with having a USB-C port, but I'm not going to pay $150,000 for it.
No. Yes and no. Like, yes, I'm on board with the USB-C port. No, I don't. I would never pay more than just a regular retail price for it. It's incredible. But the other thing, because this is huge for another reason, basically recently, I think it was iPhone 13, they found out that the camera module, it's the screen, I think, let me start again. They found out on the iPhone 13 that when you replace the screen with a non-genuine one, it may not actually work at all. And Apple basically said that this was unintended, blah, blah, blah. And I think they did do something to try and rectify that, which is really interesting. But now with their self-repair thing coming out, not so interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But previously, your Face ID module can't be replaced.
Yeah,
your
that's
cameras
the hard part.
could not be replaced with an aftermarket one.
Yeah,
but could be replaced in an Apple store. Yep. Assuming that they allow, I think they mentioned cameras in the repair stuff that you could fix. That's something that may now be fixed, which is fantastic.
Yeah. It's going to be great. And like to just guarantee the sensors and everything like that as well. The other thing I find really interesting too is that Apple have this thing where if you send them back the faulty parts, you'll receive a credit towards the purchase of the new part, which is good because obviously that's them trying to help prevent this e-waste and recycle.
Yep.
So I think it says there'll be more than 200 individual parts and tools available.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's going to be a lot there. And where else we got here? Yeah, there's the starts from the iPhone 12. So anything pre that they won't stock. It doesn't say anything about iPads, which is interesting. So
actually,
I'm wondering,
that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, and all MacBooks. So
I kind of took it as not supporting MacBooks yet.
Yeah.
Because just the way they phrased it with screens, cameras and stuff, I was like, okay, they're not doing MacBooks.
Actually, you know what? I stand corrected. Apparently, it is soon to be followed by Mac computers featuring M1 chips.
Oh, wow.
And that's a quote from their news article on their own website. So there you go.
That's very good.
It is actually.
All for it, because now other manufacturers who tend to, let's say, not copy but follow in the footsteps of Apple in some of their, say like what was it, the notch and removing the charger from the box. Certain unnamed companies might actually jump on board just to be like, see, we're as good as Apple at this.
Yeah. We'll see. I won't hold my breath on that one.
Yeah, I kind of hope they do though, because again, it's all about consumers and looking after consumers.
That's right. If you look after them and give them power, like give the power back to them, then they will come back to you.
Yeah, exactly right. So no, it's a fantastic move that they've done this.
Yeah, no, I'm super keen. But I do really hope that they bring out the ability to do it for iPads because obviously where I work, it'd be great to be able to repair iPads because we do get quite a few damaged every now and then, having, students around the place that...
Is that also why you're excited about the MacBook one?
Actually, surprisingly enough, most of the MacBooks I've ever had damaged have always been from staff, spilling tea, Teagate and stuff like that. So, yes, other than that, it's not too bad. I mean, the other thing, obviously, is the fact that I think the biggest thing is probably the battery for me. Battery and display are probably the two big things.
True.
Because obviously batteries are one of the very common things that age in an iPhone. I've had a battery repaired by Apple a couple of times.
The question's going to be though, because I have had my battery repaired by Apple in the past, and personally I would go back because if they damage the phone, they'll basically replace the phone.
Yeah.
But price. So if I went to my local repair store and they got Apple parts to do it, is it just going to be as cost effective for me to send my phone to Apple to get it repaired?
See, for a battery repair as it stands, I wouldn't take it anywhere other than Apple, because Apple will do that's $79 generally for an iPhone battery replacement. And let's be honest, most other little repairers or service centers aren't going to be able to make it much cheaper than that. Not for genuine battery anyway. So I think that in that scenario, you'd be silly not to go with Apple Direct. However, depending on what the pricing is when they release these spare parts, if you're looking at maybe $30 or $40 for a battery, then it potentially could become something that was more viable for you. And I mean, since the iPhone 12 came out and they've gone back to that, more squarish design, my understanding it's a little bit easier to pull apart than previous models that had the curved edges. It may not be that big a deal anymore. Like it may be as simple as pulling it out, softening the glue, unplug the battery, and then replace it. So it actually may not be a big job anymore. I guess, yeah. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, they've said that they're starting off in the US and expanding to additional countries throughout 2022. Not sure if Australia's on that list. Hoping Australia's on that list. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Time will tell.
That'll be interesting because it's funny. Some of their rollouts across the world have pretty much been America and then Britain, Australia and stuff like that. We're always either second in line or last.
Yeah, we generally, I think, are one of the test nations that they use to make sure things go pretty smoothly because, I mean, we're a pretty high-tech nation when you think about it. Like PayWave, for instance, was a perfect example of Australia went nuts with it. Probably, I believe it was more than any other country in the world. Australia was the one that actually really picked it up, and then it slowly has migrated to places like the UK and US. US are actually quite slow on the take up of it. So
I find PayWave pretty funny, if only because Australians for some reason were pretty on board with contactless payment when it came to credit cards and stuff.
Yeah.
So when Google Pay and PayWave came through, we jumped on board pretty quickly. America, on the other hand, I mean, when we went over there, a lot of places not only didn't support contactless payment, they still required with the use of a credit card a signature, which to me was crazy because we hadn't done that for years.
That's right. And a lot of them still required swiping too. Not even using the chip in the card anymore. So they're quite a lot behind, and I'm not really sure as to the reasoning behind it. It could have just been that maybe there was fees involved that companies didn't want to pay. I mean, obviously, everything would run a bit differently in Australia to America because America had the tip system as well, which you can obviously use cards for rather than just actual physical cash. So it's probably to do with all that. But I know that it is obviously starting to ramp up now. So I'm guessing that Australia would be one of these semi-test nations for this service agreement and stuff that they're doing. But yeah, so I guess, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's exciting stuff.
Too right. Well, at that, we might actually swing this episode to an end, which makes it one of the shorter ones, to be honest. But it's all good. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to send it through to, now you might be able to correct me here, but media@bigbrainmedia.com. No, .org.
Come on, man.
I got it wrong. I made it. No, I got it wrong.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining me, Bliestek. You can be found on Twitch and where else?
Places.
Google
Twitch mainly.
Bliestek. I'm sure there's
YouTube,
only one
YouTube
of them.
as well. I got YouTube, I'm around.
Not under Mr. Lolster TV.
Who's that?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
I was young once.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. Yeah, I'll catch you next time.